Hi, this is today's strong coffee, and it's very strong. Excuse my casual look. It's Saturday, and wearing my favorite hat, like my puff. It was a gift last Christmas. Okay, my friends have been telling me forever that I need to start a blog, and I've decided on the name. It's Strong Coffee, because you need to wake up. And this would have been too much to write. And plus, I haven't figured out how to set up a blog. If anybody wants to help me with that, I'd appreciate it. So, today is based on it's been a long week politically for the country. And I don't watch a whole lot of politics anymore, not since the November 2016. I've always been a news nerd since I could sit in front of the TV, and unfortunately, I have been forced to just not look. Plus, it doesn't take that long to peek in and see what's really going on, because they all sit there and say the same thing over and over again all day, and they have their own agendas. But I don't watch Meet the Press anymore, not since Tim Russick died. I've tried, and I usually go about my way when Meet the Press Daily comes on. But I happened to be near the TV, and that was on, and I heard Chuck Todd say, coming up next, we're going to hear from someone that can tell us what to do about Bloomberg. And then he says it's Reverend Al. I knew then I should have left or changed the channel. But unfortunately, I didn't. So here we are with a letter to Reverend Al to tell him, you don't represent black people, you don't speak for us, and you absolutely don't speak for me. Period. But before I go too far, let me say that 1, this is not an endorsement of any candidate. 2, it's not for me to tell you who to vote for. So don't, it may sound like that while I'm talking. I can't do analysis without saying what I have to say, but I'm not telling you who to vote for. This is not an endorsement of any one candidate, and if you're not guilty, you won't be offended. If it doesn't apply, you won't be offended. And if it does offend you, it won't be weaponized. Can we play fair? Okay. Because I am very concerned about the danger of where we're headed as a country, or where we already are, because we have weaponized social media and lost all sense of the power that we have in our fingertips that we can be using for our own good. So, all the keyboard courage and the keyboard cowboys, pow, 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 not necessary. Let's use social media to advance ourselves, not to tear each other down. Okay. That's that commercial. Now, Reverend Al, irritated. Very, very irritated. I've realized this week, I realized it a long time ago, but this week it's been very solidified for me after the performance I've seen on television from some black leaders and influencers, that I'm sick and tired of people like you. Unfortunately, Reverend Barber, who I've been a fan of for so long, but that performance from him on Morning Joe, bridged too far. Why are preachers on TV screaming about Mr. Bloomberg's apology not being enough, or he needs to apologize over and over again? I see the same thing on social media from y'all, a lot of people too. I don't understand that. We've all been raised to apologize when we know we're wrong. We've all got the sense to know when somebody is very sincere when they do an apology. Okay? But for you to be on TV saying he hasn't apologized enough, and he needs to, where are the programs? Where are the plans? It's not enough. Are you serious? Are you serious? Have you seen his stuff? I mean, first of all, I wasn't looking for his stuff. I wasn't paying him or Tom Steyer any attention, because I was of the belief that, okay, here we go, is another one trying to buy power. I will say that. But those commercials started showing up on television. And I was sitting there like the dog that cocked his head and said, that was effective. Then I saw him in an interview with you, Reverend Al, and a couple other places where he apologized. He explained that he realized that he was wrong. He took too long to do something about stop and frisk. He regrets that. He realizes that black people haven't had a fair shot in terms of advancing economically and owning a home or gaining some wealth. And he wanted to propose some plans to help make the playing field equal. I believe he also said that he was ashamed, being the history buff that he is, that he didn't know about Black Wall Street. And some of y'all don't know either, so don't be tripping. But then he did something about it. That's what the Greenwood Plan is. I sat down last night and watched a 45-minute video about the Greenwood Plan. Because that's what you do. You research people, okay? But what you don't do based on what your relationship is with him in New York and what you think you know about him is try to tell the rest of us that we agree with the foolishness of you sitting on TV saying, he can't just apologize and go away. Where is he gone? The man came out and apologized and then said, hey, I can take my mistake and turn it into something good for not only black people, but the whole country. Because guess what? If we do good, America does good. You think? So he needs to pay. Okay. There we go. First of all, Chuck Todd, you don't get to drag Reverend Al or nobody else in and ask them what needs to be done to satisfy us, as if it's what it is going to be. And then Reverend Al, you don't get to sit there and embarrass us by saying he needs to come in and he needs to sit there and he needs to just hear it and he needs to just take it. You didn't say nothing. He just needs to take it. He needs to sit there and he needs to pay. These people need to be paid. Are you serious? They need to sue New York. Everybody else around the country who's had the same kind of situation needs to sue the municipality. Are you going to run around the country and tell everybody, sue your mayor, sue your police chief, sue individuals? No, you've done nothing. You live in New York. What have you done? I ain't seen you on TV. I have not seen you on television trying to get people's records repaired, trying to help people that have been impacted by this to get a job. Where's the plans for that, Reverend Al? Y'all just want a bunch of welfare. You don't want a situation that he is set up that allows us to work, get paid decently, and create a situation for ourselves. Everybody don't want to be on welfare. Everybody's not lazy, okay? This is the problem with the perception that most of America has of us. It's because people like you are out there, a lot of them don't have the good sense to think that they see one, that doesn't mean the rest of us are like the one, okay? This is why I'm saying you don't speak for us, okay? So, Mr. Bloomberg, please, sir, please don't let them drag your campaign into this nonsense. You've been up here, they are down here. You've got people around you, black people, who've had the common sense to look at you. They've already had relationships with you. They know who you are. They see where you've put your money. They've participated in your mayor's academy, how you develop leaders around the country. And they're checking you out for themselves. Not an endorsement, people. But Reverend Al, you don't get to say that what you're screaming about and everybody else that's screaming and not offering a solution, that you represent us. And that's what's so embarrassing about this. Particularly my biggest fear. It's bad enough that 13% of black men voted for Donald Trump. Now, 99.9% of the people that I see screaming about Mr. Bloomberg and telling us you can't vote for him are black men. Do y'all realize what you're doing? Huh? Do you realize what you're doing? Now, Reverend Al, y'all sit on TV and talk about what Mr. Bloomberg needs to do. Let's talk about what you haven't done. MSNBC has sat there and given free media to Amy Klobuchar. It's as if they are you are her war room. You are her campaign headquarters. Why do I know that? Because when I have nothing better to do, and I fool around and look at you, I know you guys sit there and look at your phones during the commercial break at Twitter, which is unfortunate that this is what drives serious conversations about our lives, Twitter. But I know you see everything that's being sent to you saying vet Amy Klobuchar, the articles that have been sent to you, any and everybody that's sitting on television, any and every major news source, Sirius XM, wherever I can find somebody that's on TV talking about a campaign, I have sent that information. Excuse me. And I know that you've had her on in real time for interviews and stuff. And it's so bad. Let me tell you how blatant you guys are. You don't even call her Senator Klobuchar. You call her Amy. How personal is that? You know, this is a problem when you guys sit up and go to parties and whatnot together. You can't do your job when it comes time to hold people accountable and give proper information to the public. Joe and Mika, really? Really? Y'all helped to give us Donald Trump. Every other day he's on the TV. Y'all thought it was cute. Oh, he's going to win. But then as soon as y'all fell out with each other, now you can't stand him. No credibility. None. And then you're going to sit on TV and tell us who we're supposed to vote for. Literally, that's what you're doing. Chris Matthews, I literally heard him say, Amy Klobuchar is the kind of Democrat that people should vote for. Really? Amy Klobuchar is the kind of Democrat that y'all need to be vetting, like you're doing Mr. Bloomberg. At least he apologized and came with solutions. 20 plus Democrats. Not only have you not proposed anything, you're continuing to propose nothing and ask for our vote just because that's what we've done. Because you think we can't go anywhere else. And he's exposed you. He's exposed the Democrats. He's exposed the quote-unquote black leaders because none of y'all have done anything in forever. Quite frankly, not since the civil rights movement, with the exception of what Barack Obama did to give us health care, and y'all fought him. Y'all didn't support him, which is why he lost the Senate and the House as president. But we won't go there right now. So, Amy Klobuchar, Reverend Al, are you going to run around the country or send her back to Minnesota like you telling Mr. Bloomberg he needs to go to New York and sit there and take it? Are you going to I have not heard any of you say that she needs to go back to Minnesota and fix these bad cases of hers. The Associated Press has investigated her for a year and found major flaws in a case where she has sent a young man who was 16 years old to jail for life. He's been there for almost 20 years, basically a child. No evidence. An investigator who was on tape, her investigator on tape, offering $500 bribes to people to give false testimony. This child was interrogated in a room for endless hours and asked for his mother. He was in there long enough to ask for his mother 13 times. She's in the room next door. He didn't do it. No representation. Railroaded. This goes on day in and day out around America, Reverend Al. And where are you on that? Why aren't you running around the country demanding, now that you want Mr. Bloomberg to go to New York and sit up and listen and take abuse from victims of stop and frisk, he's going to sit and listen to 5 million people? Come on. Don't do that to him or the victims. Don't set them up to believe that Mr. Bloomberg is going to cut us a check, Mama. No. He shouldn't be cutting checks to you for nothing and to no one. You want to get paid? Sue New York. Sue New York. Where have you been? What he is trying to do is to keep that situation from happening again around the country, expose that. He's done more to expose it than any of you have. And that's unfortunate that you're crucifying him after he's admitted his mistake. But what you're doing to him is no different than what we complain if a white person had done that to one of us and said, your apology's not enough. Y'all would have a cow. A cow. This is no different than what I call the slave mentality of this country. You know, we go to jail, and y'all know it. We never stop getting punished when we make mistakes. Perfect example, Kobe Bryant, dead. And being convicted of a crime he didn't commit almost 20 years ago. Really. Accused, you know, we're going to talk about something that he was never convicted of, charges dropped by the judge because the quote-unquote person he was with would not testify. And now after this man creates a second act so spectacular in his life that he became a global icon beyond the game of basketball, just as a person, just in life, just in all the other things he pursued besides basketball. You cowards want to tarnish a dead man, a dead black man who cannot defend himself for something he wasn't convicted of. So what does that say for the rest of us that are here? How many people are in jail for stuff they didn't do, Reverend Al? What are you doing about that? At least Mr. Bloomberg came with some plans to say, hey, this is what we did, it was wrong, this is how we work against that. And he apologized. And apparently, so many black people are paying attention to him because of the incompetence of 20 plus people to come together as a party that he had to step in after the front runner didn't appear to be able to be the front runner anymore to save the party. And y'all thank him by doing this. Now, he has also said, if I don't get the nomination, I am willing to spend my money to help the Democrats and the down ballot candidates around the country in the Senate and in these state houses. So, are y'all going to go ask Mr. Bloomberg for his money after the way you've trounced his reputation today? After the way you dragged him? Because he's rich? Okay. Polls on Monday said Mr. Bloomberg had gained 22% of the black vote. Unfortunately, Mr. Biden had lost just about that much. Does anybody find it interesting that the very next day, the desperate dude that works for Bernie's campaign released the tape of the audio of Mr. Bloomberg talking? I don't. I find it desperate. And let me say this. Me, Bernie was never getting my vote. Ever. Okay? Not getting it. And quite frankly, he wasn't doing that well. He's still not doing that well amongst black people. Sir, that released the tape, I will not give people your name to help your cause. It's probably not going to help him get any black votes either. Okay? So, that tape comes out the very next day. Reverend Al, in his welfare mentality of trying to make Mr. Bloomberg spend his money, you're not demanding anything of Amy Klobuchar. All these people that are in jail on stop and frisk. And by the way, I was sitting there watching TV going, did he start this? Let me go research this. Basic Google search. And guess what popped up? Something I wasn't looking for. Did you know? No, you don't. Because the media hasn't shared it, and obviously none of you looked it up, or you wouldn't be talking about this like you are. Stop and frisk was a court case in 1968 that the Supreme Court deemed as legal. 1968, stop and frisk. Look up the case. It's very easy to find. I'm not going to tell you what it is. So, that's number one. Put into law in 1968. Number two, this was started by Giuliani. And number three, then Mr. Bloomberg came along and did what he did. Another piece of bad logic is all the people that sit up and say, but he had this many thousands of days to do something about it. How many days does it take all of us to not do something we're supposed to do? Okay? That's flawed logic. That he had this many days and he didn't do anything. You know what? Some people just don't want to let it go. Just say that. Just say, I heard his apology, I'm not going to let it go. But please, stop. It's not attractive for you to be out there saying, oh, he had this many days to do it and he didn't do nothing. Why is he apologizing now? Because it's the right thing for him to do after all those many days. Does it matter what day you get the apology on and the person tries to move on and make amends for their mistake? It has to be on a certain day? I didn't know that. So, but we're going to get to what y'all don't hold people accountable for. That's perfectly okay. So the Democrats have been exposed for what they've never done for black people. Now, here comes Mr. Bloomberg with his initiatives for Black America, something nobody in the Democratic Party or you black leaders have ever proposed. But the Dems have never proposed anything like what he has. And that's what caught my attention. I've never heard anything like what he's talking about. It's finally somebody is doing something doable. If he were president, it would get passed it could, if people weren't so entrenched in their ditches, it could easily pass no matter who was leading in the Senate because it's the right thing to do for people. And I've been voting for y'all 40 years. Jimmy Carter was my first president. And y'all sit on TV in your bubbles and you don't listen. Who are you talking to when you come up with the stuff that you tell us to tell us how we feel? No, some of us are looking to get off of the metaphorical plantation of always voting for the Democratic Party and you doing nothing for us. Enough. Reverend Al, you don't get to come in here and tell us what we want. This is only to benefit your pocket. And dear white people in the liberal media, those black people on TV, let them speak. Or find some who can see the pulse of what's really going on out here. I'll be glad to be a real correspondent for you guys to tell you what people are saying. I see it. Those that disagree with me, those that are kind of thinking the same way I am, those are somewhere in between. But y'all are not talking about it either. I don't know where y'all come up with this stuff, but I know what it is. It's because you've been given marching orders that this is how you will sound. And I know Young Turks, that guy is not on TV right now because they used to get too many calls upstairs that he was going too far. But he was only telling the truth. So here's the other problem. This brings up the real problem we have as black people. We don't own anything. We don't own media. If you don't own your own media, you have absolutely no power. None. Look what they do with their media. Look what they do with Fox. Look at what they do with Fox. It's wrong, but they do it. And it works. Look at Sinclair Media buying up all the local TV stations around the country and forcing the affiliates to pipe in their editorials. It's state-run TV in the United States. Forcing, it's mandatory no matter what district it's in. But their message is getting pumped into people's homes because it's being forced on them. You don't own anything. You just got people on TV that are benefiting themselves and are only allowed to say so much. Okay? So, you don't represent us, Reverend Barber, Reverend Al. You or no one should be on television saying an apology is not enough. What is that? Now, let me tell you how that sounds. That sounds like what I always say about the country and how it never, did I say this already? I can't remember. I'm tired. I didn't. How anyone who goes to jail, they can't get a life afterwards because you continue to punish us. And you think that's okay. They never get a chance to get back on their feet, to get a home, to get a job without their record following them, to vote. Continued punishment. Why is that? Why does this country continue to punish people after they get out of jail? That's a slave mentality. That's not what rehabilitation is. Our prison system doesn't do that. You know why? Because it's an extension of slavery. You're not trying to rehabilitate people. You don't respect black bodies, so you don't give a care about what happens to them. If you did, then they would come out better, and they would be in a better position, and they would be in position to do better. They are forever punishing us, and you're doing the same thing that you complain about white people doing to us. You're doing that to Mr. Bloomberg. I have a son, a black son. And I had to fight for him in pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, grade school, and tell his white teachers and administrators, you need to pick your poison. You're not going to punish him repeatedly if he does something. He's raised at home. So if he misbehaves at school, you hold him accountable. I'm going to hold him accountable at home. And when he comes back, you are not going to continue to pick on him for something that he's already been punished for. That's not going to happen. What about all the prisons, Reverend Al, that are being built while schools are being closed? What about the school to prison pipeline, Reverend Al? What about how they look at test scores when our boys are in the 3rd grade to determine how many prisons are going to be built? What about the prisons for profit that are being built? Where are you on that, Reverend Al? Y'all not having those conversations at all. But Michael Bloomberg, you go for the low-hanging fruit of Michael Bloomberg. Unlike any of the 20-plus Democrats that have been participating in a circular firing squad for a year, at least Mr. Bloomberg has said, you know what? I participated in some of these wrongs that have been done to these people. I realized that I was wrong. The logic of saying some of the stuff y'all are saying just does not make any sense. He offered solutions. Y'all are just screaming and yelling at the white man because you think you've got some power to do that. You don't think what he has done is a wake-up call to the old guard? You don't think that by coming and basically giving y'all a playbook of what the other side has been doing forever, they take their money like he's taking his money with his plans to try and move a bunch of people forward, but they focus on a certain subset. Opioids are a crisis for them, a national emergency. But crack is criminal. Where are you on that, Reverend Al? How many men and women, anybody, black, white, whatever, are sitting in jail on nonviolent crimes, on marijuana charges, unnecessarily? Oh, the debtor's prison, that's the latest new thing. People getting locked up for debt. Look it up in Mississippi. I think Kentucky, Kansas was the latest one. People getting locked up for medical debt. Where are you on that? All this country does is focus on locking people up for profit. But Michael Bloomberg, you act like stop and frisk is only in New York City. It's all over the country. So, they lock us up. We go to jail. Again, this is not an endorsement. But these welfare mentalities, he's just trying to change the game. And y'all don't even want that. No, y'all want free stuff. That's what Bernie's offering. Again, not telling you who to vote for. But y'all always wanting about a seat at the table. Make your own. But this man has laid it all out for you. No one has ever flat out said an agenda, initiatives for Black America. Nobody. You know, it's almost as if y'all don't want to see Black people do well. And I do believe that there are Black people who do not want to see Black people do well. They're very comfortable on the metaphorical plantation. They're also very comfortable pretending like they're helping you and keeping you on the plantation. And then there's Democrats that don't want to see us figure out that you've not been doing anything for us forever and leave the metaphorical plantation. But you already see the results of people figuring out that you've been exposed. And that's why you're attacking Mr. Bloomberg. All of this is so disingenuous. You know, it seems to me personal, like those of you who are in New York that don't like him, oh boy, this is our chance to get him. But the Koch brothers, they've been buying politicians for decades. Y'all don't say a word. The Republicans look at y'all and Fox News and say, whatever, this is what we do. The media doesn't say a word. But you want to lie to people and say that Mr. Bloomberg is buying an election. Y'all ask for money for campaigns. I've given money to several of you. Black people don't participate. That's why Senator Harris and Senator Booker are not on stage. Also for a number of other reasons, but we didn't play the game to keep them on stage. Those were the rules. Send money, participate in polls, so they can stay on stage. Now everybody else wants to fuss about Bloomberg, fuss about his money. You begged us for money to put your message out there. Is that also buying an election based on the premise that y'all trying to use for Mr. Bloomberg? Is that not the same thing? But Citizens United and the retreats that the Koch brothers host, where it's $500,000 a head for the politicians to march in there and say, yes, I will go to Congress and do what you are paying me to do. And y'all don't raise any sand about that. But Michael Bloomberg, your Congress is full of people that are owned by these quote unquote oligarchs, which is ridiculous that you call him an oligarch and you don't say nothing about the Koch brothers. They throw a few bucks at the black scholarships, Thurgood Marshall Fund, UNCF, but nobody has come up with initiatives for Black America like Mr. Bloomberg did. And y'all are mad at him because of that. And that says to me that you don't want to see us benefit from that. Now to Friday, all of a sudden, everybody else has got programs. Y'all on TV telling everybody, look at the other Democrats. Look at Klobuchar. Why are y'all talking about her? What she's done is disqualifying. She, just like a bunch of other people around this country, have campaigned on the backs of children, the dead one and the one she locked up wrongfully, to gain power and go to the Senate, to gain more power to go to Congress and pass things like the 94 crime bill and 3 strikes you're out. But Mike Bloomberg, you want to fuss about the fact that he was a Democrat, then he was a Republican. But Bernie Sanders has been an independent for 40 years, and nobody is upset that he is tearing up the Democratic Party.